first off, it's a truth serum. The truth will set you free. And the idea that we finally, in a digital world, have this truth serum where we haven't had something that verifies and can't be changed and altered and copied or deleted is like, that is a revolution. We hear it ad nauseum of like what blockchain technology is as a digital ledger. But by having this truth serum, it allows us to interact very seamlessly. And I think of it, I'm kind of I love power to the people. So how can we use this truth serum to set freedom alight for individuals?
Welcome to Season 2 of From the Blockchain, where we speak to today's most innovative entrepreneurs and thought leaders to impact the true potential of smart contract technology, Web3, and the digital frontier. I'm your host, Ashley Smith from Fame Lady Squad, and I'm thrilled to have you join today's top-tier community of forward-thinking trailblazers. We're here to foster a culture of idea sharing, creativity, and innovation that transcends industries, revolutionizes business, and drives meaningful conversation. If you're ready to forge a path to becoming a thought leader in your industry or organization, think of this podcast as your compass. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and be part of our amazing community. Oh, and please note that this podcast is for informational entertainment purposes only and should not be considered financial or investment advice. Alrighty, everybody, enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to From the Blockchain. I am incredibly excited about today's show and today's guest. I think we're going to be able to bring you a lot of value. Today, I'm going to be speaking with Michelle Reeves, a lovely lady that I've had the pleasure of meeting in person, which is very exciting because she actually happens to live all across the world from where I am. But Michelle Reeves is the CEO and co-founder of MAVION. She's an international entrepreneur who's built multiple businesses across Web2, and as the co-founder and CEO of MAVION, a global fashion and NFT platform that connects physical assets to digital collectibles that drive rewards to NFT holders and brand partners. I'm super excited to dive a little bit more into that. Named on the 2022 Power List by Marie Claire USA and Queens of Crypto by Forbes, she has become a trusted voice in NFTs and Web3 fashion. She has educated and consulted for top executives and Fortune 500 brands entering into the Web3 space across sports, fashion, and entertainment, including Netflix and Nike. As Michelle's influence continues to grow, she remains committed to using her knowledge and expertise to promote the development of a more decentralized and democratic digital world. She's passionate about empowering individuals and communities to take control of their digital lives and believes that the potential of blockchain technology to transform the world is only just the beginning and is only starting to be realized. Welcome to the show, Michelle. Thank you so much for being here. I know you have a much longer bio, and I'm hoping we dive a little deeper into your history and expertise, but thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Ashley, it is so wonderful to connect. Last time we saw each other was at the 11/11 launch with Paris Hilton and her new media company.
That was a very interesting event to be at. I think, Michelle, when I think of you, I think that you belong to this group, and please excuse me if I'm like totally, if this is inappropriate, but you belong to me, from my eyes, into this more professional, business savvy group of especially female leaders that have spent time really getting to understand Web3 and what can be done with the technology. Although I'm sure you've degened a little bit yourself over the last couple years, I kind of put you a little bit up on a pedestal, and you do have a pretty interesting network. And I'm sure you have some insights from that network as to why they care. Paris Hilton being a great example of someone who's doing some neat things in the space. But let's dive right in. Why don't we start with that? Why don't we talk about a little bit more about you and your professional background to give some context to our audience?
Yeah, I feel like Web3 actually is a little deja vu for me. So if we go back a billion years to 2007, I was working for this agency, IMG. They happen to represent a lot of our favorite athletes, personalities, models, you name it. And at the time, Tiger Woods, Roger Federer, Heidi Klum, Kate Moss were people that I was supporting their agents with. And I remember having these conversations about this thing called Facebook. And of course, the knee-jerk reaction from all the agents was, it's a scam. It's a fad. This is a total liability waiting to happen. We cannot have the talent connect and communicate directly to the public. Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
not. We're going to lose money. And of course, I think we all know how that story panned out in the long run. And so I'm just really used to this like initial knee-jerk reaction of, oh, hell no, to things that are new because it's unknown, versus leaning in to grow with it, to like go into the corners. So I kind of feel like I'm this emerging tech secret agent who's like, you know what, I'll go into this deep, dark corner and check it out and see what's happening. I'll report
Mm-hmm.
back with what we should do. And, that's what's happening in Web3 now. With this new capability, it's like a bag of magic tricks, and no one quite knows what to do with it yet. Except there's just some cool stuff to play with. And that's where I think we were last year, and what the public saw were these big explosive headlines of, on Monday, this is so cool, it's the future. And on Tuesday morning, oh my God, this has exploded. No one touch it, and I feel very comfortable in that space. It doesn't feel scary to me. It actually just, it fuels me. It fuels my strategic creative thinking. And I love being the person who can then build that bridge for the magic trick of Web3 with which brand this could really help.
Maybe let's dive into that a little bit deeper. What is it about Web3 and the technology that excites you and that thinks that you can bring value to brands and companies through the tech?
I mean, first off, it's a truth serum. Anytime, the truth will set you free. And the idea that we finally, in a digital world, have this truth serum where we haven't had something that verifies and can't be changed and altered and copied or deleted is like, that is a revolution. We hear it ad nauseum of like what blockchain technology is as a digital ledger, but by having this truth serum, it allows us to interact very seamlessly. And I think of it, I'm kind of I love power to the people. So how can we use this truth serum to set freedom alight for individuals? Like in fashion, I look at something very simply as, all these designers, before blockchain, if you were a designer, you had to go and make the network, make the connections, have the education, and really put yourself out there in a very, high risk, high cost way to be discovered. You would have to manufacture clothes. You would have to know the right people, the right rooms to be in. You would have to have lawyers. You would have to have trademarks. You would have to protect any of your creative assets. Today in fashion, with Web3 emerging tech like AR, like AI, with the support of blockchain behind you, you can create things at home without having access to expensive materials. All you need is a Wi-Fi connection and your pure raw talent. And the blockchain will protect you because you can verify and authenticate this was yours. You created this. No one can take that ownership away from you. And you can more seamlessly be a part of these digital Web3 communities, to be discovered, to connect to a top influencer, a great brand, or the people that you are going to really connect your vision and creative thinking to.
I don't want to go off too much on a tangent too early on in our conversation, but I, and I don't have any hard opinions on this in particular. I'm not as well informed as I could be on the issue, but Shein, a fast fashion, business, there's been a lot of criticism as of late from designers, for example, where their like designs are just being totally ripped off. Now that's alleged. I don't know like what's true, what's not true, but I think what you're saying actually could potentially be a problem solver for some of these designers, especially the ones who are more, I don't want to say mom and pop. That's not the right word. It's not very fashionable, but, folks who are really starting out. Any additional thoughts on that?
Oh, so many thoughts. Independent designers have been used and abused in this space, to the point that, these big heavyweight machines, if you will, like the Sheins, the Azoses of the world, would even reach out to them. They'd buy their products, and then literally just send it straight to the factory to absolutely copy. They weren't even trying to, hide their trail, because they knew that they could out lawyer any one of these independent designers. They wouldn't stand a chance. And now one by one, a few of them have actually said no, and they've bound themselves together, and in creating, more class action suits against some of these brands, they can make some noise, but they can't stop it. And that's what I think the difference is. Like, yes, it's one thing to get the headline, to be recognized, for the public to say, yeah, that was wrong. It doesn't matter. Shein is a money-making behemoth that just feels like it can't be stopped. And, I think that these tech tools are really important for a lot of reasons. One, protect the IP of, the incredible design ideas of independent designers. But two, it is so unsustainable. Even if you look past just the IP, from a consumer, a global perspective, success in growing a business for the future cannot just be at the cost of landfill, ethics, how we treat, the human capital within these factories. It is, I think VCs have really hurt the fashion industry by looking at one set of metrics of what success looks like. And I love that with Web3 technology, there's a new set of metrics that can be measured and prove success. And these are metrics that an individual independent designer can take control of. They can create digital fashion. They can create immersive experiences, not at the cost of the planet, not at the cost of, human exploitation, and very low cost, very high returns, can make their own kind of new noise, with, I look at things like AR filters. I was just down in Sydney, maybe a month and a half ago, talking to the top 100 fashion brands of Australia. And I was lucky enough to be at the end of the conference. So all day I've heard these brands talk about, the future of AR, VR, AI, metaverses, gaming, and it's so far off. Nothing for us to worry about today. Let's, focus on SEO conversion. And so I thought, oh God, they're going to love me when I get up there. So I get up, I hold the mic. I'm like, hey, I'm just going to put it to you. If you do not have your eye on Web3, you are not setting yourself up for success. Here's how you can use it today. Right now, every one of you are manufacturing lines of dresses, bathing suits, handbags, just to send to your influencer community. And they will photograph it. They will use it for 15 minutes and they will throw it to the side. That is costing you thousands of dollars in manufacturing. The footprint of sustainability is thrown out the window with shipping. And it's pointless. Why not create a JPEG? A JPEG that can be used for your AR filters, get that out to influencers, send it in 2 colors, have the influencer community vote. Would you love to see this brand make it in pink or blue? Vote now. Make the best-selling color, save money. Everyone wins. It costs you less, it saves you more, and it increases your bottom line. It's not that hard, and you can do this today. And I saw this tidal wave of culture shift happen in the room where everyone sat up and thought, wait, hang on, this is what Web3 does? Yes, It creates benefit for you. And I think that's the thing that's been missing from the general conversation about Web3 is the actual use case of benefits. How do we make lives better? How do we make businesses more efficient? How do we save money, but drive more revenue where it matters?
So when you're speaking to companies and exploring some of these ideas with them, is that, do you think, one of their biggest objections or challenges is that they just don't understand what the current opportunities look like?
Absolutely. You've got people who are inside these companies. Their job isn't to be a Web3 disciple. Their job is to make great fashion and sell it for the highest price at the lowest cost in the fastest way. So it's impossible for them to have their finger on the pulse of what this actually is in the tech world and how they can use it. Those are too many dots to connect. And there's so few people, I think, out there like you and I, who are the builders, who are, I describe it as the flood of last year of interest, and now the floodwaters have subsided. There's muck left. But when you get through the muck, what is left are the actual real pillars of value that will change and create the empires of the future in all businesses across all industries. And that's hard for them to get out there and do. They've got bosses to report to and bottom lines to meet.
Yes, that makes sense. So let's talk about that a little bit more. How does this relate to Mavion?
So MAVION is that bridge. I think of us as being that platform that's going through the muck of all the tech that's being like put out there in the headlines, what's real, what's not, what's just emerging versus what can be used now. And we work with our beauty and fashion brands to help them understand how they can implement it today. And I think a lot of those brands too, when we talk to them, are like, look, we don't want to build a game. We don't want to build a metaverse. I'm like, great, you don't have to. If your current consumer isn't into gaming, don't build a game. If your current consumer loves handbags, loves lipstick, let's look at how the technology can make that experience better. How can the lipstick create fun filters so that they've got this great hot pink color in real life, but how could they use it across their other behaviors in Snapchat, in TikTok, in just their everyday Zoom calls? How can that lipstick be a living portal, a device in their handbag that offers benefits? Can they use that lipstick and scan their phone over it and unlock codes to the next season's color? Can this lipstick be a physical ticket that gets them into some of your previews or unlock content, or a partner with another fashion brand that has the same Pantone color? You know, we're kind of like talking about, don't think about the tech, think about what do you wish this lipstick could do? I think my best example when we talk to them is my margarita story, which is, imagine this, you know, like your friends come over and, you know, they're sitting in your living room and you're excited to see them. And all they keep talking to you about is this thing that they just bought called a blender. Like, hey, Ashley, I got this blender and it's got 5 speeds and it's got a lid and you plug it in and you can get the blender in red or stainless steel. You can get blenders that are really big or really small. And you're like, that's cool, Michelle. Like, why are you talking about the blender? Well, Ashley, I haven't yet told you, it makes margaritas. Like, no one cares about the speed of the blender. Just what does it do? Oh, it's going to make me a yummy, delicious drink every Friday. Done. So we need to help brands understand what is their margarita that they can put in front of the consumer and make them feel good.
That's a wonderful example. I love it. It's memorable, and it's one that like I might need to recycle at some point.
Go for it.
I am wondering a little bit about key learnings over the last couple of years. You know, having experienced the ups and downs. Now you're not new to innovation, and probably have seen roller coaster rides before in terms of like adoption or lack of adoption or public sentiment, etc. But any key learnings that you're thinking about as you move into the second half of 2023?
Yeah, I'd say number one, it's not a race. If we go back to like even just the Facebook social media examples, it's not like this is a space where there's a land grab and you've got to be the first. You don't have to get it right the first time. You know, the social media stars of today, you know, aren't the ones who started 15 years ago. They're the ones who maybe started 15 months ago, 6 months ago, and enter the space in the way that is most suitable to you. So don't feel like there's just one way to enter. Don't feel like you're behind and you've got to catch up and you've got to quickly just do something. It's okay. Take a beat. Take a breath. Understand what it is you actually want this to do for you. Are you looking to create noise and headlines as a marketing campaign? Are you looking to drive sales? Are you looking to increase your user base? Are you looking to collaborate and see how you can expand into a new group of users or an audience? Understand what it is you want out of it first, and then work backwards to make the plan make the most sense for you. But just don't be afraid to take a moment and really be thoughtful in how you build your campaign or the model that you're using within this technology world that is really still changing, because even if you think you've got it right today and it's perfect, you might find in 2 weeks' time, as you're bringing it to life, something new has just launched and that might be a better fit. So be willing to take a moment, make the changes as this technology is changing, and just put one foot in front of the other.
I'd love to know. So that being said, who within organizations do you find yourself speaking to the most? I think that the assumption generally out there might be that it's people on the tech side that are exploring what can be done in tech. But by the way that you're speaking, I think you're probably speaking to people who are more in marketing. Correct me. Who are you talking to, and how are they bringing these ideas into their organizations in an effective way?
Yeah, it's two groups. It's either the founders or CEOs, or it is all the marketing teams. The product teams are just different. They're looking to create efficiency in what already exists. Whereas I think marketing are the ones of, like, hey, we have something new, and then the product teams have to catch up and make that more efficient. So it's definitely marketing who want the noise, who are looking for new opportunities to differentiate from their category. And it's founders and CEOs who are like, we need to create new revenue streams. We need to create a new proprietary capability, particularly in fashion. The number one proprietary thing to own, of course, would be verification and authentication, particularly for more premium limited edition items within fashion, accessories, luxury goods. So we're seeing a few brands who are starting to do that with one-off collections. And I've been talking to a couple of bigger houses about what to do for an entire supply chain. How can they make this an inherent part of the back end in the supply chain as they're creating goods, as they're manufacturing, as they're sourcing. So it's just inherently in their business, not just a marketing add-on for this one collection launch. So we're starting to see it go a little deeper into the back end of the fashion ecosystem.
There's two things I want to get into a little bit there. One is, so on that more back end side, what would you say as people are figuring out what that might mean? What's the biggest value add there? Like, why should companies be thinking specifically about that process part?
So it's again, if it's more in that luxury, scarce space, the verification of your goods has a high value. With counterfeit markets, all those kinds of things, that's the easiest way to combat the authenticity of that. It also creates a lot of efficiencies for a lot of the secondhand reselling applications. If we look at the real reels of the world, there's a lot of cost against the authenticating of the products coming in. So to have a streamlined solution built into the back end, that's a huge cost saver for them in changing the process of goods coming into the supply chain from day one. If it's for other brands that are less focused on, luxury goods and secondary sales, it's about the product provenance, the origin of where these materials are coming from. Whether you're a small, medium, or big size brand, they're already recognizing the opportunity to stand out from the current greenwashing of e-com. Right now, any brand in Web2 can say, this jacket was made from recycled plastic bottles. Was it? I hope it was. You said so. Here's hoping. But with the ability to prove that origin story, a lot of brands are excited to get ahead of that. And it's a really cost-effective way to tell a new story, engage with the consumer. And as I think about Gen Z and even Gen Alpha, they care about that. I think about Web2 was always about where the product is going. It's all about tracking. That was a really big innovation to have, Amazon. You order it at 10 a.m., it's at your house by 4 p.m. That same day tracking, fast delivery, it was all about where it's going. And in Web 2, it's all about where it's from. The real flex of the future, in my opinion, is where is it from? Because anyone can create a look. You can get that fake Louis bag. You can look like you've, come from somewhere. But where you've really come from, where that piece has originated and what it's made of, I think that's the flex, not the logo, but the actual materials.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And I think you've actually touched on my second question was about the like luxury items and verification, all that I think adds a lot to it. For someone who's listening, who is maybe hearing this type of idea for the very first time, I think it still feels very conceptual. So can we maybe just very high level outline what that means? Like you've got a physical good and now there's some sort of blockchain authentication. What does that mean? Like how is that, without getting too techie, like what does that look like?
Okay, so really easy example. I was in Japan this summer with my 2 little kids, and in Tokyo are some of the world's most exciting, most luxurious secondhand consignment luxury stores. And you go in and it is wall to wall Birkin bags. I'm talking not like 10 or 20, but hundreds of tan, beige, sand-colored Birkin bags on one wall, hundreds in red, hundreds in blue, like you name it. And it's almost a little like you realize it almost becomes like a commodity, like, whoa, like all these Birkin bags. And you kind of forget for a moment until you walk up and look at the price tag. Nope, it's still $50,000 for this bag. And then you think to yourself, well, is this real? Like, how is this 50,000? And in talking to the sales team, what's your authentication process? Oh, well, we're known for our standards. I'm like, so it's a trust us policy. Yeah, I'm not cool with that. Anyone. I don't care whether you're Kim Kardashian or someone who's been saving up for 10 years. $50,000 is a significant amount of money to bet on a trust us policy. So here's how this would work if there was a blockchain solution in that Hermes Birkin bag. Within that bag, there'd be what's called an NFC. And this NFC is like a little tag or chip. It can be fabric. It could be a hard plastic piece. It can be metal pieces. Depending on what it is, it can be, very durable. So it can't easily be, worn off or, cut out essentially. And what it does is it's this piece of technology within the physical product that allows anyone to scan and see this verification code and see where this code was implanted from, if it was truly from Hermes themselves, or was it put in by some other account? There's only one Hermes account, if you will. So you can see very quickly, like a website, is this on the Hermes official account or is this something else? Particularly in bags, they all come with this, today, a plastic, like credit card looking thing with a number. I don't know anyone who is like, knows what to do with this plastic card. It has a serial code on it. Does anyone know how to look up what that means? And by the way, you can manufacture that plastic card anywhere, anytime. So think of this as a way to like put this almost like CIA device, that's hidden inside of a physical good that you can scan and see really quickly, real, not real. And that's it.
Yeah. And of course, for anyone who's purchasing, thinking about the secondary value, there's people out there that just buy bags and sell them. So
yes, they are huge business. And if you've been watching too, the kind of high profile influencer or celebrity Bethany Frankel on Instagram and TikTok recently did a whole expose. She went to TJ Maxx, which they now sell a lot of premium goods, and from an official TJ Maxx store purchased a pair of Manolo Blahnik shoes. And she was sharing them on her socials. Look what I got. I love TJ Maxx. What a score. They were, they retail for $1,500 or something. I got them for a few hundred. And people on TikTok were like, they didn't make them in that color. That's not real. And what people have been doing is going to physical stores, buying the real goods, and then they return fake goods.
Wow. That's incredible.
So it is huge. Like, it is so sophisticated how these black market industries are operating. It is so overdue to
Mm-hmm.
incorporate some kind of verification truth serum into luxury goods to protect the consumer and to protect the brand themselves.
And I will add, just because we're talking primarily about fashion and luxury goods, and I think that's such an interesting and important use case, and where I think it's going to probably, people are going to appreciate it maybe earlier on. But I just saw Lowe's Hardware is doing something very similar. They have an innovation lab, and they are putting in a chip into their powered tools that will only be enabled, like the tool's only operable if it's purchased through the retailer. And if somehow it's stolen, which apparently organized theft of these types of things is actually quite common. And then, of course, if it's being sold on the secondary market, you can see if it's been purchased legitimately or not. And also, there's been mention of if things have been returned, you can see that. Like if you think maybe it's still the same item, but you can see that it's been returned. So anyways, there's lots of ways this can be done. And I think hardware to luxury fashion is an interesting range of use cases.
Absolutely. And I think about this across even like the medical industry too, for medicines, for, much needed aid that gets sent and sometimes gets intercepted and stolen as countries are reaching out and helping other countries, and then placebos are replaced. Like it is wild, the actual use cases across so many industries. I love that. I love that Lowe's are doing that. I did not hear about that yet. So very cool.
Yeah. Fun LinkedIn find. I wonder then, for people who work within companies where they think this is something that they want to explore, but they have no idea, like, how do I even start? Who do I talk to determine what's a good fit? What's a good strategy for us? What's our why, right? And who helps us actually execute on some of this stuff, because it's probably not in their wheelhouse. I'm sure you've had experience. I mean, it's certainly part of what you do, but maybe you can walk us through that process for companies who are like, whoa, this is brand new, I want to take it on, but where to start?
Yeah, there's just not many that are doing it. And it's just the nature of an emerging industry. I think MAVION is one of the few that really are doing that. We focus on the beauty, fashion, lifestyle industries. We've definitely spoken to and helped a few other industries. It's a little harder. You kind of find these one-off freelancers or engineers and developers that we can pair and build more custom solutions for. But it's just there's just no easy thing to Google right now and be like, oh, that's the place to go. It does take a little bit of diligence to find the specialist operators like a MAVION within your field who have the expertise, who are building it and are actually starting to put real use cases out there. It's unless you are a company that has your own tech team, you do have to go and find some people outside to bring in. And it's going to just take a little bit of time to find who those right people will be. I wish there was a better answer.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think recognizing that challenge is important, so people don't feel stupid as they begin to search, like, what's the starting point. And I think especially right now, as it's still so nascent, like really finding those teams or those groups that have some history and vetting, because I think a lot of people may be capable of doing some of this work, but you have to also make sure they're not like bad actors and that they are doing things in the way that you want them to be done, and that way it doesn't negatively impact your brand.
There's also the challenge too of not even knowing what you're asking for. You deliver this kind of product or service, that there's got to be a better way, or there's something cool you want to do. And so finding a trusted forum to talk to ideate and then build the plan, that can be a challenge too. So even knowing what to ask for, I can appreciate can feel really daunting in itself.
So let's lean in a little bit into your niche with fashion. And if someone's interested in watching, at least just watching what the opportunities might look like, are there resources or people? Is there anything you follow to kind of try to stay on the pulse besides, of course, your day-to-day work and the people you're speaking to? But is there anywhere you may refer to for people who are trying to learn more?
That's a great question. I actually found that the answer was no. And that's honestly why I started my own podcast this year, because I realized I was spending my days on Zoom talking to the world's most innovative founders, leaders, CEOs across all industries, who were leaning in and doing this and taking the time. And I thought, I shouldn't just have these conversations and learnings live in my head in this one Zoom call. This needs to be shared. So I launched What Now in, March of this year. And I've spoken with everyone from the Los Angeles Rams, the NFL team, to Time Magazine or Time, Christie's, Aloe Yoga, a 17-time Grammy-winning music engineer, who does all of the amazing work for like Lizzo, John Legend, Skrillex, Beyonce, Alicia Keys, like you name it. And you realize actually how pervasive this technology is for those who are pushing the line as far and as fast as they can. So there's a lot of great ideas being shared on each episode. So you can see, I mean, even my last one was with Kris Jenner's company, Safely, which is a cleaning supplies company. And you're like, what on earth could a multi-purpose spray do with anything in blockchain? We talk about it. And we actually ended up doing kind of like a bit of a jam session in the podcast episode itself on, well, what should we do? And kind of came up with a few ideas. So, start there, have a listen, see what dots are connected and where you feel inspired, which industry is more aligned to your own industry as a listener. But yeah, I don't think there are a ton of tools. It feels very ad hoc. There are weeks where I'm like, oh my God, there's so much great information being shared on LinkedIn. And then I'll dive into Twitter and be like, oh, there's a couple of good little nuggets here still being shared. And then I'll go to some Web3 summits and be like, yes, okay. What's hard is the expertise is being shared by people that you've probably never heard of before yet. And Ashley, as you just said, vetting who are the good actors versus those who are not, it's going to take legwork for you to do on your own. And look at their credentials, look where they're speaking, look who they've worked with, see how they work and, what the quality of their work has really done, what's their network. And that's going to just take a little bit of time to do. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That was perfect because I was going to segue into your podcast. So I am going to put a link in the show notes so everyone can find the What Now podcast by Michelle Reeves. It's got some great episodes there, as you mentioned. So one to follow. Really appreciate you serving the public in that way, because I think that's clearly as well. I feel a lot of people are first of all, not willing to commit the time to, say, digging through Twitter, which I can appreciate. People got things to do in life. So, before we wrap up, I'd love to know a little bit, just what are you most excited about? I know that's a simple question, but whether it's something in fashion, in AR, VR, in the metaverse, in blockchain or AI, what in terms of digital transformation are you most excited to either participate in or watch?
Okay, I got to tell this story because it just happened this week, and I feel like I want to go on a publicity train for this woman. She's so talented. So there is a fashion AI artist. Her name is Opay, and she, prior to becoming an AI artist, was a stylist for some US retail stores. And during the pandemic, retail stores, of course, shut down. She didn't have much to do, so she kind of taught herself AR, VR, and AI within the fashion space. Now, prior to doing this, her job was to go on set sometimes, and she had one role as a stylist, pull some key looks, and that was kind of it. Because when you're on set in fashion, there's someone who's doing nails, someone who's doing eyebrows, someone who's doing makeup, hair, then you've got the photographer, then you've got the agency, then you've got the creative brief, then you've got the location scout, then you've got the person who's actually casting the talent and the models. And on a 12-person set, as a stylist, she's like, I pulled these looks with one vision in mind. It never looked the way that I had it in my head because you've got 12 layers of people that it goes through and changes. Well, with the power of AI now, she has created the most captivating output of campaigns because she does 12 people's job in one. She is one person doing all those things. And in speaking with her, that vision was always there, but she never had the ability to unleash it. And now she can. It is just her and her vision coming to the page or the screen, in the makeup, in the casting, in the location, in the actual fashion. She is the designer, the photographer, the talent scout. She's everything. And it is blowing my mind what has been locked inside of her, and now she's able to share it. So I think about, Opay is one of the millions of people out there who I'm sure feel the same way. We've all got these visions of what we wish we could create. I am so absolutely excited for the visions that we are going to be hit with in fashion, in pretty much every industry, because we're taking the shackles off of people and we're taking them out of the boxes that traditional roles had put us in. No, your job is just this. Just deliver this. We do this. And now you can do it all. So go for it and let it flow.
I love that. I think people have a lot to learn from you. So if they want to follow you, learn more about MAVION, what are the best places for them to find you? I'll make sure to put links in the show notes.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm old school. I'm an Instagram girl. So at Michelle J. Reeves, and of course, LinkedIn, Michelle Reeves on LinkedIn, and then just good old fashioned website, michellejreeves.com.
It's a really great website, by the way. And I see there, like, if people want to speak to you about speaking engagements, all of that's there. So I do implore people who are wanting to know more and speak to Michelle to check that out, because there's lots of resources there. Michelle, before we close, any closing thoughts? Anything we didn't touch on that you're thinking of that we should talk about quickly?
Ashley, I love that you are breaking open the space. These are those important conversations. I get to see you at industry events, but I think opportunities to open the windows and let people, look in, come in, are really important. I think, for anyone who's listening, remain curious. You've obviously, if you've come this far in this episode, you're here because you want to learn more, which tells me that you are capable of doing more as well. So do not be, sidetracked by the obstacle of the unknown. Just keep leaning in, keep listening to Ashley's podcast, listen to other podcasts, connect the dots on your terms. You'll find your path. You'll build your path. And I promise when you do, it is going to feel so flipping great, because you'll have discovered and created something that is brand new that others have not experienced before. So just keep at it.
Wonderful. What a great message to leave on. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's been awesome getting to reconnect with you and hear more about what you're looking at. Everyone in the audience, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next week from the blockchain.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of From the Blockchain. I really hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any ideas about future episodes, including themes or potential guests, please check for a link in the show notes. Happy to hear from you. Also, if you're interested in being a potential sponsor for From the Blockchain, I'd love to hear from you as well. Check for a special link just for you in the show notes. All right, everybody. Again, thanks for being here. Love the show. Love being with you. Please remember to subscribe, review, and share with your friends. Until next week, have a great one.